Welcome to 1000 PS. Welcome to our kind of first proper ride on Honda's WN7. This is their all-electric motorcycle from Honda. Now that's not just big news for the motorcycle industry, it's big news for Honda because it's the first all-electric production bike to come from one of the biggest motorcycle manufacturers in the world. Now we've already done like a kind of first ride of this bike when we test rode the bike on its world launch. But when we rode the bike, we rode it with every other electric bike with us. So it was like a herd or a flock of WN7s, and we just got a flavour of what the bike is. What we've done today is we've had, well, over the last 3 days, various riders from 1000 PS have ridden the WN7, and we've ridden it in kind of more real world roads here in Austria, up Alpine passes, down in the city, and we've been able to access it by charging the bike and get a better idea of the range. For me, what's been really unusual riding the Honda with conventional petrol bikes is the noise, because I'm in perfect silence and everybody else is really noisy. And there was a weird moment yesterday when everybody had to stop for fuel and I obviously didn't. To run you down through some of the specs, in the UK it's 12,999, so nearest damn it £13,000, which is a little bit more expensive than obviously the petrol equivalent, but cheaper than a lot of the electric bike it's comparable to. The quoted power is 50 kilowatts, which is 67 horsepower, but it's rated at 18 kilowatts. The weight that has always been an Achilles heel of electric bikes is 217.5 kilograms. That's only like 5 to 10 more kilograms than a Honda Hornet with fuel. Big talking point is the huge amount of torque, which is 100 Newton meters or 73.8 foot-pounds. There's no gears, there's no gear selector, there's no clutch. It's just twist the throttle and go. We've got various modes to control that power: standard, sport, rain and eco. They change the rider aids, but also the regen. Now regen is, simply put, a way of putting power back in the battery by using engine braking. And on the Honda it's really interesting because you've got a little paddle here on the left hand side, so we can increase or reduce the regen as we're riding the bikes. And when we rode the bike on its launch, that was mainly flat. We didn't do a lot of hill work, but here in Austria, we're at 1,500 meters and we're riding up and down beautiful mountain passes. And what's interesting is as you're coming downhill, you can reduce the regen, which basically reduces the engine braking. That means that I can carry loads of speed because there's nothing restricting it. There's no gears, no gearbox, and I'm freewheeling in perfect silence down the straight up to corners. And then when I come to a nice controlled corner, rather than using brakes or coming down gears like you would on a conventional bike, I can add regen, which increases the engine braking, which slows the bike down to the required speed that I want and puts charge back into the battery. And then when I come out the corner, I reduce the regen, which reduces the engine braking, which speeds the bike up again. Like I did like 15, 20 kilometers yesterday, coming down a beautiful mountain pass where I barely touched the front brake. For reference, the front brake is where you would conventionally find it on a motorcycle, so it is the rear brake. Honda could have done mountain bike brakes, brake on the front, brake on the left like a mountain bike or a push bike, but they've chosen to keep it more conventional like a motorcycle. But using the regen is an interesting tool and an interesting way to ride the new Honda WN7. And I actually ended up increasing the battery and increasing the range as I was coming down these mountain passes. But obviously to come down these mountain passes, you've got to go up them. And it all depends how quick you want to go and what you want to do. In the kind of standard and eco mode, there's still quite a lot of torque. Remember, there's no gears, so you don't have to be in first or second, you don't have to be in the right gear to get the hairpin correct. You can just roll it around and accelerate out. The acceleration is really rapid, it accelerates really briskly. And in the wet would give the rear tyre a real difficult time, hence the reason we've got some traction control. It's belt driven, not chain driven, and we've got a 150 rear tyre rather than a 180. The belt drive is to keep things all quiet and silent. What was really evident when we first rode the bike, and what's really evident again when we ride the bike here in Austria, especially against the petrol competition, is just how quiet and silent it is. I've ridden loads of electric bikes over the years, and what you hear on electric bikes is all the mechanical noises that are normally drowned out by the noise of the engine and the exhaust and the intake of the airbox. So on a conventional electric bike, you hear the chain hitting the swinging arm, you hear the sizz of the brakes hitting the disc, you hear the bodywork flexing, and you can hear it all moving and kind of working. It's like driving a car with a noisy, rattly dashboard. It becomes annoying after a while. But on the Honda, it's not like that. It's super smooth, super quiet, really well built. In terms of downsides as a motorcycle, the seat is so hard. On the initial launch, we said the seat was hard and a little bit uncomfortable, but we've spent almost a day in the saddle and it's just too firm. It doesn't need to be this solid. And it still pops up from time to time when you go over a few bumps or when you drop your elbow on it. This is the recharging points, but sometimes you just touch it by accident and it pops up, which is getting a little bit frustrating and a little bit annoying. But when riding it against the petrol bikes, I've not felt like I've been underpowered. I've not felt like I've been out-handled. It handles really well. It's balanced, there's good feeling, the suspension works really well. It's a little bit heavier on the fast steering when you're changing direction at 70, 80 kilometers an hour. Once you get to the higher speeds, when you transverse between corners, you can feel the weight. And I think that's because the weight is a little bit lower down and it's all battery. But I can make these allowances because it's, for me, one of the, if not the best electric bike out there on the market at the moment. Range has been really difficult and different to judge. We're getting around 100 kilometers to the range or 110, depending on who's riding it and where we're riding it. Honda quote, I believe, 140 kilometers on their range, which is 87 miles. But realistically, it's about 60 miles to 65 miles. Which for some people that's going to be way too less. But everywhere where we've stopped here in Austria, there has been a fast charging point, and we've been able to charge the bike up and just give it that little top up. On a fast charge, we can go from 20 to 80% charge in just 30 minutes. But I'm glad that everybody here at 1000 PS has gotten the opportunity to ride the bike, because everybody who's ridden it has enjoyed it. Everybody's initially gone, not for me, and then afterwards got off it and actually gone, do you know what? That's pretty good. And I do believe if people actually got to ride the WN7, they would enjoy it. Throughout the UK, they're going to be available at all major Honda dealers. So if you get the opportunity, take one for a test ride. It's a really different and unique experience. I don't think it's on par with the petrol equivalent. At £13,000, it is expensive. And a 100-kilometre range in actual real world is not big enough for me on the way I ride. But for some people, it will be. For some people who are just commuting in and out of the city, for some people who just ride for 30, 40 miles and back again, then this is enough. But what's interesting for me is that I've ridden loads of electric bikes over the last 10 years, and the development is really escalating. This is not far behind the petrol equivalent in terms of handling. It looks good, it's attractive, it's a complete package. The weight is a little bit more, not considerably more. The price is a little bit more, not considerably more. We're really, really getting there with electric bikes, and there's more to come from Honda. I can't wait to see what the WN8, 9 and possibly 10 will be like when it gets delivered from Honda. If you get the opportunity, please take one for a test ride at your Honda dealer. Everybody here at 1000 PS has been impressed. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it, especially playing with the regen. In fact, so much so, I'm going to go for another quick spin.